On this episode of Boom Just Goes Over a Random Weapon in Modern Warfare in a very casual manner, we're looking at the FR556, or the FAMAS as normal people call it. This weapon is a heartbreaker, and I'm going to explain to you why. Now, I'll be honest, I don't have it gold yet, but I have every attachment. I'm just working on some skulls camos, some crouching kills, and some mounting kills, I'm pretty sure, and then I will be squared away on that. I already know what I want to say about this weapon, so even though I don't have it maxed, camos, and everything, I still feel very confident talking about it to you guys. The gun is very fussy, very particular about how it wants to be used. Whether it's the attachments, the engagement range, or the types of engagements you're getting into, you need to be thinking about all of that when you use the FAMAS. At least I do. Maybe you're better than me. In fact, screw it. I'm pretty sure that everybody that comments on a Call of Duty video is better than the person making the Call of Duty video. At least that's what I see. But from my perspective, the FAMAS needs some very specific love and care. So if you follow this list I'm about to give you of ways to use the FAMAS and what you need to think about and what attachments you need to be running, then you should be golden. So don't start using this weapon assuming that your burst is going to be as accurate as it was in something like Modern Warfare 2. And same goes for the fire rate. This gun does not have a rapid burst fire rate. It's not the slowest I've ever seen in an FPS game, but it is far from the fastest, and it's far from the most accurate. And this gun is pretty damn fussy when it comes to what attachments it needs in order to be accurate. So if you spec this thing for stabilization, it's great because it goes straight vertical, but straight vertical is not very good, and I'll explain why later. So you want to find a good balance of it, and it'll never be perfect. From what I can tell from my wall tests that I have done, there is no real perfect set of attachments to use. You can do 2 recoil stabilization attachments with the commando foregrip and the muzzle brake. You can do 2 recoil control attachments with a grip and a barrel. But at that point, you have taken your mobility down pretty much as far as it can go, and you only have 1 attachment slot left. And if you want a nice optic for a weapon that kind of demands a bit of accuracy, you're done on attachments. You have all the attachments you can possibly have, and so your gun is just slow and more accurate. But I think a balance needs to be struck with the FAMAS, especially with what I'm about to tell you. The FAMAS has a massive weakness. It cannot hit small targets consistently due to the spread on its burst, and will often lose gunfights to more accurate weapons that are automatic. LMGs, most of the ARs, some of the SMGs like the MP5, MP7 AUG, they're going to kick your ass while you're trying to land your second or third burst on a small target, only showing a little bit of their leg or torso or a little bit of their head. And that's just due to the inherent weirdness of this gun's recoil pattern and its burst delay. And the more you try to reel in its side-to-side recoil on the burst and its vertical recoil on the burst, so stabilization and control, the more you try to tie that in together, the slower the gun gets. And yes, you could make a very, very campy FAMAS that's really only good for incredibly methodical playstyles. I think a balance needs to be struck. I'll tell you more about the attachments I use in a second, but first, let me say my biggest complaint about this weapon is that its fire rate is too slow for its recoil. As a video game, I think if it's going to have this much recoil, and it's not crazy, it's not shooting up to the moon or anything, but it is bouncing around a lot and the spread on the burst is pretty gnarly, I think that recoil pattern should be coupled with a higher rate of fire, or the current rate of fire should be coupled with a lower recoil pattern, or tighter recoil pattern. Yeah. Basically, if it's going to keep this recoil pattern, it should fire faster. Either that, or just tone down the recoil and make it a little bit more accurate. Because your biggest threat while using the FAMAS is anybody that's using cover. Whether it's waist high or head high, that's your weakness. Your margin for error with the FAMAS gets tighter and tighter every time a part of your opponent is behind a piece of cover. Now obviously, it's not hard to hit a person sitting in a window that's showing their whole torso and head and arms and everything. But if they're smart and they're using the side of the window, so you can only see the side of their torso, so you can select the side of them and their shoulder and their arm, and that's pretty much it, maybe a little bit of their head, then the FAMAS just can't effing compete. And if you want to build it for maximum accuracy, you're going to slow it down, and that's where I think you need to find the middle ground. And the middle ground, in my opinion, comes in the form of a Merc foregrip, so that you have more recoil control, which is your vertical recoil, and a muzzle brake for recoil stabilization. Also, that Merc foregrip will help you with hip fire, which will help you with those life-threatening close-range engagements where somebody gets in your face. And then I believe the stippled grip tape for aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed is a good idea. And then I think you should use something else for aim down sight speed, depending on the map you're on, or something for aiming stability, so that when you're pre-aiming a corner, you're not worried about your sight bobbing around. Again, your margin for error is pretty damn small when using the FAMAS, so any amount of accuracy or speed you can get, at least a balance of those two things, is really important. Really, here's the FAMAS you need to use. There you go. Merc foregrip, muzzle brake, and the rest is up to you. Depending on the map you're on or your playstyle, you might not need a faster ADS time. I personally prefer it for how I play with the FAMAS, because my idea with the FAMAS is to go out and meet people in the open and take them out, because it can very much so melt people in those engagements, just not so much in the longer range, tap firing people at a distance, covered engagements. But either way, maybe you need just stability, maybe just range. I also would say that don't write this gun off when it comes to hip fire. I think a laser sight and Merc foregrip and the stippled grip tape is really good for aggressive play, and you can hip fire people to death with this weapon, even in core mode, so that is a good thing to keep in mind. I've tried a lot of other attachment combinations, and this is the one that speaks to me the most, the one that has worked most consistently for me. You guys might have a different experience, but this is the way I like to use the weapon. If you have a better loadout for the FAMAS, let people know down below. You can also run the gun like this. I wouldn't recommend it, I just thought I'd point it out that you can do that. And isn't that cute? Isn't that just the darndest thing you've ever seen? Now, from what my friends and I tested on one of the longest lines of sight we could find on Anya Palace, the weapon can two-shot headshot. I don't think I recorded it, so I'm sorry. You have to take my YouTuber word for it, but go into a private match with your buddy if you have a friend. A lot of you are telling me to play solo and saying my opinion on Modern Warfare doesn't count because I'm playing with my friends, so I'm going to assume that a lot of you are just salty because you don't have any friends to play with. But either way, if you have a friend, take them into a private match and dink them twice in the head at the longest range you can find, and I am 90% certain that it'll two-shot them. These videos are a travesty. Here is my main tip for you when using the FAMAS. Find choke points that don't have a ton of cover. Whether it's the cave entrances on Azure Cave, behind the warehouses on Gunrunner, top warehouse or top office on Hackney Yard, the shipping area on Petrograd, the trench area on Grozny, whatever open area you can find where enemies will be in the open, the FAMAS will absolutely decimate them if you're capable of landing 1 to 2 bursts consistently. My problem with the FAMAS comes from the fact that you need to catch people off guard and catch people without cover. So many weapons in this game that are automatic, the M4, the AK, the M13, the Kilo, the Odin, the LMGs, the SMGs, so many of them are so much better for hitting a small target with a consistent number of shots. And that in and of itself is really good at outclassing the FAMAS. Despite the angles you can get hit from in Modern Warfare, the maps have a lot of variety in where you can play and what engagements you can push for and work towards. So I recommend pushing towards the engagements where this weapon works. Make sure you're not fighting somewhere where somebody can get chest-high cover, because waist-high cover is about all you want to have to deal with, because if you're a decent COD player, you can hit somebody that only is hiding their legs. And I'm not saying that hard stop, the FAMAS, doesn't work with this, never try it. I'm saying that if you want to be optimal, if you want to win more gunfights, catch enemies without cover. Do not challenge those long lines of sight with really good head glitches in the backs of spawns and tall buildings. Don't do it. Control areas where enemies have to come out into the open to face you. I also recommend flanking people with this weapon, and that's why I use muzzle brake, Merc foregrip, stippled grip tape, the stock that allows you to aim down sight faster, whatever the hell that thing's name is, and then a good clear 1x optic. This weapon is not fantastic at range, and it's not fantastic against people with cover, so plan accordingly or suffer the consequences. That's all I'm saying, if you want to be optimal. I am of course not saying that the gun can never be good, go kill yourself. I'm saying the gun is not as good at those things. People take everything I say on this channel so freaking literally. When I said that the SCAR is really goddamn bad at hitting moving distant targets, I didn't mean you can never hit a moving distant target. I'm saying it's not good at that. I'm saying it's not optimal at that. I'm saying other weapons are better at that. Let me end this video by saying one very important thing. This game has some of the best weapon customization I've seen in a AAA game in the last 5 years. Put down the M4. I played a shit ton during Double Weapon XP, and I am embarrassed at how many of you were running gold M4s. Go, put in the time with another weapon, level it up, customize it, and have fun with the plethora of options that you have at your disposal. You guys fucking suck. Go play 10v10 Team Deathmatch or Ground War. Those are great game modes to try out weird classes because those maps give you enough room to breathe and enough variety to play how you want. So go turn your FAMAS into a sniper rifle. Stop using Snake Shot on the 357 and maybe level up the M19. Did you guys know that the M19 can get 30 round magazines? Go try that out. And that leads me into my last point, and this is for the people that watch through my videos in their entirety and not just watch the first 5 minutes and get bored. Listen, do you guys want me to do a series where I make quirky setups and then show them to you guys, like weird class setups? If you'd like me to, let me know down below, and I will do those more often. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Anyway, I will see you when I see you guys. Goodbye.
I'm dead?
We got a greenberry who's shooting this guy that I've been trying to counter snipe, so that's fun.
No, I wasn't dead. I came out of it and just killed the guy and got a VTOL.
What? It didn't show you there.
Save.
That's annoying.
Oh, bunker buster. I love this as a hiding spot.
Oh god! I almost got flattened by that chopper.
No, I just got a chopper gunner right at the end. Son of a bitch. Disappointing. That was 2 chopper gunners.
I was actually really close to white phosphorus at the end there.